All right, looks like I'm in the right spot. And I think it's right on time. So I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to your Thursday night Facebook Live with CJ Card Creations. My name is Christy Hillock. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm very glad to be here with you tonight. I'm super excited to have some new stuff to share with you out of the mini catalog. And I think we'll just get going on it if that's all right with you. If you haven't received catalogs, please let me know. If you don't already have a demonstrator who sends you catalogs, I would love to get one to you. And also, if you normally shop with me, you should have received one, but the mail being what it is, it's entirely possible that it's delayed or who even knows. So just let me know if you need anything. So I'm going to set those aside. And let's see what else. I have a class on January 24th here at my house at 6. And I would love it if you would join me, whether you are a first-time attendee or an old pro, whatever. I would love to have you. The ladies that come regularly are all wonderful and happy to meet new people, so I think it would be great for you to start coming. Let's see. There is, oh good, I'm glad you got it. And hopefully I'm not going to have service issues because my computer is kind of glitching out. Thanks for being here. So there is the paper pumpkin that is the Kisses and Hugs. And at one point I thought I had a cute little flyer, but who even knows in this room? I cleaned and I still can't find anything. But it is called Kisses and Hugs, and it creates 10 cards and has a 2-step photopolymer stamp set. So that means that you stamp one image and then you stamp another right on top of it to get the full picture. And the cards are heart-shaped, which I think is going to be really cute and really nice kind of soft colors. So, oh hey Julie, I'm glad you're here. So that is coming. Definitely sign up for that if you haven't already subscribed for Paper Pumpkin. And right now it's Celebration, which is a wonderful time to do a prepaid code on your Paper Pumpkins, because then you also get freebies out of that Celebration catalog. So if that doesn't make sense, feel free to ask questions, but you definitely want to think about doing that and get those extra freebies with money that you're going to spend anyway. If you need to sign up for Paper Pumpkin, there's a link in the description of this video. And I think that's all that I really have to say. So I wanted to show you the Flowering Tulips bundle. And let's see, it is a new bundle that just went live. I don't even know what day today is. Tuesday of this week. So it is the focus of my January class to go, and it is stunning. I just love it so much. So I'll show you quickly. These are the cards for the class, and I wanted to give you one more example tonight. So this is a little bit of a, the dies are interesting. So if you remember the peony dies from last year or 2 years ago, I'm not sure. They have a whole bunch of pieces that you put together to make this big, beautiful peony. The tulips are sort of along the same lines. So what I did, because I pulled out these dies that I have right here, and I looked at them and I thought, oh my goodness, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing with these. But if you see, so these are the ones that I'm using tonight. Okay, so, and there's a whole bunch of really fun dies in this, but these have this teeny tiny little score mark here, and here and here. So some of them it's 1, some of them it's 2, and then like this is an insert piece, so it doesn't have any scores at all. But I looked at all of those and just thought, I can't figure this out on my own, so I went over to Stampin' Up's. It's kind of like a quick video about just this suite of products, and it told me that the DSP has 13 different colors in it, which is kind of mind-boggling, but the DSP is gorgeous. Lots of rich color and big patterns and little patterns and watercolor looking, you know, texture. So anyway, it didn't tell me how to use those dies. So what I did was just cut all of them and then play with them to see if I could figure it out. And this is kind of what I came up with. So they just have a lot more dimension and depth than a single layer die cut. So I also wanted to do this bridge fold for you because I just wanted to really make these flowers stand out, and the rest of it is fairly simple. It's kind of an odd, I don't know the best way to show you. The dimensions are such that when you fold it flat, it will still fit in our standard envelopes. And I would show you that, except that I don't know if I have one. So, yeah, take my word for it. This will fit. It's a 5.5 by 4 1/4. But it pops up and you just have, I don't know, it kind of looks like a flower field or a vase of flowers, something like that. So that's what I was going for. Hopefully that's what you see when you look at it. So I'm going to change the color scheme, as I often do for you, and show you how to make this. All right. So the first thing that I want to do is bring in my Stampin' Trimmer here. And all of the measurements are in the description of the video already. And so if you have any questions, you can always look back there. You don't need to try to write this all down. So I stacked everything up so nicely so I would be ready. And now I'm going to dump it. All right, so the piece of cardstock is actually 6 1/4 by the 5.5. So what I'm going to do is hide my cutting blade so that I don't accidentally chop this. And then I want to score the long side at 1 1/16 and at 2 1/8, and I do apologize for the 16ths. I really try not to do that very often, but the way this card worked out, it's just what it was. So so the 16th is just that very first tick after the 1, because thankfully we don't have any that go to 30 seconds. Okay, so again, and I just rotated 180 degrees and went for the 1 1/16 and then the 2 1/8. And that's it for scoring. So we'll get this out of the way. And since I want this to be very square and very precise, I am just going to be really careful as I'm doing my burnishing to make sure that everything is straight before I burnish those score lines. Because like here, that is a little bit wonky, so we'll see if I can manipulate it back to where I want it to be. Oh, you know, you measure and you think you got it right. I guess that's why they say measure twice and cut once, but fortunately we weren't cutting. Okay, so we may just roll with this the way it is, because it's pretty determined here. There we go. Okay, and then on the other side, I'm just going to do the same thing. Okay, so now that is how this looks before you've done anything else to it. So at this point, it still flattens out completely. What we're going to do next is actually build our flowers so that they have time to dry a little bit before I start putting them in the card itself. So I just am using So Saffron and Mango Melody today. And I didn't pull the ink pad, so just 1 second. That is, of course, the downside of changing my color scheme because I don't realize that I don't have quite everything. So I'm just using one of our old sponges, but the sponge daubers will work great for this. I'm just inking it up a little bit, and then I'm going to take my petals, and this will just add a little bit more dimension. So you can also kind of see just a little bit, they did some embossing with those dies as well, which it's very subtle, but I think it adds some really nice texture. All right, so here's one of those with the score lines. So it folds and then it folds, and there is your unopened tulip. So, how has everything been? Did you guys have a good New Year's? Good to be back to the routine? Starting any crazy, difficult New Year's resolutions? What's going on? You guys are so quiet. I am anti-resolution, so there is nothing going on in that regard. In general, we try to be really healthy and active, and so I've been at the gym as much as normal, which is usually 2 or 3 times a week. Vacation would be nice, but I need more of the part of my vacation that was restful. So my husband and I took each other to Zion for just for 1 night, but for our Christmas gift to each other. And his parents kept the kids, and so it was so nice to get away and have quiet. And yeah, that's gone, but I would love some more of that. So yeah, I think it's kind of funny to see how crazy the gym gets right after you know, New Year's Day, and then by February, maybe, it's dropped off again. But fortunately, my gym isn't crazy busy, so it doesn't seem to make a huge impact either way. I will tell you, this piece is very, very fragile. So if you're doing this sort of thing to it, just be aware of that and support the larger piece. Okay, so I think that's gonna just about have it. And I feel like the color should be bolder at the bottom and paler at the top, but that's not really how I wanted to brush ink onto these, so it's not totally true to life, but I think that's okay. So the next thing that I want to do is bring in my little stems, and I did these with Pear Pizzazz. The back side of this paper, which is gorgeous, used Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent for the leaves and the stems, and I thought about that, but I just kind of liked this color mix better, so that is where we are. So I am going to bring in just a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to stick my stem in, and then I'm going to bring in a single petal and get that, and now I'm going to fold these pieces over that, and then I just want to support that for a second, make sure that it really gets some good time to adhere before I let go, because like that it's not sticking very well. So the kids went back to school this week, which was a godsend, except that I think they are both extremely tired from trying to get back to the routine. So it's been an interesting week, but hopefully kind of by next week things will be really back down to just the usual. We started with a new, maybe temporary, maybe not temporary, not really sure yet, piano teacher this week, and I think she is going to be great. But you know, it's always hard. Change, it's just a balancing act, I guess. Can only handle so much. So, but I was so glad to have somebody helping with telling Jonah what needed to be done in terms of his practicing and so on. So you could also do different colored petals for the inside from the outside, because I definitely have seen tulips that look like that and they are lovely. For this, I chose to just keep it pretty straightforward. There's only so much that my brain can handle at 7:30 in the evening, and especially on a week like this week. So I think it's something that I would definitely love to play with and see just how many different beautiful things I could come up with. And tulips are one of those too. I think, you know, any color you can dream of, there are tulips in that color. So they are truly my favorite flower. And I am pretty sure that all the bulbs that I had planted several years ago have met unfortunate ends. I don't know if it's where they are planted that's not great, or my neighbor swears we have voles or moles or both, or I don't know. Some rodent-y creature that wants to go underground and steal all the good things. So maybe that happened in our yard. I don't know. All right, so we are almost done with the flower building part. And this is a little bit tedious in terms of, you know, watching or adhering, but I definitely think that the payoff is worth the work. So I love how they're all just different shapes and can really get, you know, kind of the different stages of growth of tulips. So all right, last stem. And there are also leaves that you stamp and then just cut out the center. And I just didn't see the need for leaves for this. So I definitely think it would be pretty if you wanted to add them. Okay. So now we have a nice little bouquet of tulips here. I think they're pretty well ready to let me do other things. So we'll set those aside. And now I'm going to bring in the strips of Designer Series paper. So this is just 1 inch by 5 3/8. And I have a feeling this bottle of glue is just about empty. We have my team leader, Erica, is part of the celebration, or sorry, not celebration, but she does trainings with every new catalog, and so I've been working through the one for Celebration, and it actually came out in December, and I just really had no time to play, so I was glad the last few days to get a little bit of time for that. This piece is 1 7/8, I think that's right, by 5 3/8. Let's see. Yes, 1 7/8. So, and then because I wanted it to be a little different for different sections, what I'm going to do with this last bit, so the 2 inside panels, is take some Mango Melody, and I took our new Gingham Embossing Folder and just ran that through. Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to have, you know, at least half of my time to play in my craft room, but I'm not really sure how to make that feasible. So if you figure that out, Julie, you let me know. Pretty sure that it's not gonna happen anytime soon, because today my cute little 3-year-old daughter informed me never will I take naps ever again. And her nap time is what I always used for crafty work. She definitely has not been taking naps, so it's not like that's news, but to hear her just profess never again, it's a little bit, you know, a little bit of me dies inside. So kind of a bummer. Okay, so let the glue dry on that. And now, so these pieces, I left them longer than the 4 1/4, but we will trim them down here in just a minute. But the one is slightly wider, it's 1 inch, than the other one, just because I didn't want edges showing. But I'm bringing in a sentiment that says, love you so much, which I feel is great for a spouse or a sibling or just a dear friend. So I'm going to ink that up with my evening Evergreen and see if I can stamp straight. And there it is. And I could have gone with Pear Pizzazz ink for this. However, I was afraid that that would be a little too soft on the colored cardstock. So now what I want to do is just get a little bit of a feel for how this is going to come together and where I want my flowers to be. So this is the, let's see, I'm going to bring this up part of the way and just start kind of sticking in flowers. So I did fold in the one side, and I want to make sure that my flowers don't stick past the card, just because then they would get crunched in the envelope and that would be very sad. So let's see, I think I need to move these guys over, and I'm probably way over analyzing placement, but maybe something like that. So I am just going to scoot that up, flip this over, and do glue all over it to try to catch all of these flowers. And we'll go here and here. Oh, not that short. There we go. So, oh, thank you. I'm glad you're liking it. Hopefully that is going to be think that'll work. So now I'm just going to add a little bit more glue to the back of the stems to catch this other strip of So Saffron. And the reason I did it like this is twofold. I wanted to really support the stems because they are pretty delicate, especially these two. And I also just wanted it to look a little more clean. Not that you can really see the back side of this, but if you do look down in there, you don't see a bunch of stems glued to something. So that was my thinking there. Now I'm going to bring in my little snips and just trim off the excess on these stems. And I definitely don't want them overhanging down here. So where I can trim them up a little higher, I will. There we go. All right. And now just back to the layout here. So the first side that I'm going to adhere is just over there. I want to make sure that I adhere the bridge in such a way as to still allow for the card to open and close appropriately. So before I start putting torque on this to get the other side, I'm just going to let that dry just a little bit. So as you can see, this one is much more fiddly than some of what I do, but I definitely think that it's worth it. So I'm just going to do the same kind of thing here. Bring this back up and fold it in. Let that dry for a second, and then I'll trim off this side of the bridge and we'll embellish it just a little bit, and you will see that this pretty detailed card will come together, fairly quickly, especially once you get a feel for how those tulips work. But as I said, I just really wanted you to see how gorgeous the tulips are, and not do what I did and look at the dies with a little bit of confusion. So there is that. Now I'm just going to bring in my Opal Rounds. This suite actually has, let me see if I have them. Yes, these beautiful brushed brass butterflies. There's 2 different sizes, it looks like, and they're really flat, so they don't add anything to the depth of your card, but they're so pretty. But I just didn't quite think that worked on this, so that's why I pulled out the opals. Thank you, Julie. So dropping opals. Let's see here. So I am going to do just one there, and when this is open, I want to have, the sort of triangular look between the embellishments that I usually go for. So I think I'm gonna go just right there, and that is it. And so as you see, it will fold either way, whichever works for you, but it will fold flat enough that you can write a small message on the back, or you could even, just cut a strip of basic white. Goodness. Hey, Aunt Pat, I'm glad you're here. You could cut a strip of white to write your message on and then just adhere it after you've written. So that is this beautiful bridge fold. So I hope that you enjoyed this and got some good ideas. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. And I think I forgot to do so, but I will go back and add the link to sign up for this class in case you're interested in that as well. So thank you very much for being here with me. I am glad to see you, and I really appreciate you being here and liking and sharing my videos, and definitely just look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.